You guys like the new intro? Do you like intros in general? Well, I hope so, because that's what today's subject is, the art of the animated intro. Be it a TV show or a movie, the intro is possibly the most important part. It's usually the first thing people see, it's got to sum things up properly, and it's got to get the audience excited. And if done right, the intro is usually the most memorable part. I'm not going to really comment on the shows themselves because I can do reviews of them in the future. We're just going to look at a whole bunch of famous animated intros today. See what they did right, see what they did wrong. Now, due to time constraints, I'm probably going to leave out a whole bunch of good examples, but otherwise this video would go on forever. However, if you think I left out something good, I encourage you to give it an honorable mention in the comments section. Now, it seems these days that the intro is becoming a dying art. Most new shows barely even have something you can call an intro, and some shows that do have a proper intro will, for some reason, not get it shown on TV. Did you know The Amazing World of Gumball had such a lively and creative opening? Because I didn't. I think it's funny, alright? Stop judging me! But one of my biggest peeves is when instead of coming up with a creative intro, they'll just straight up narrate what the show's plot is. Like we need a reminder every time we tune in. One show guilty of this is Avatar. It has some very nice visuals, but then Katara starts monologuing about stuff we already know after 3 seasons.
Only the Avatar mastered all 4 elements. Only he could stop the ruthless firebenders. But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
You'd think that a show as epic and as well handled as Avatar would have an awesome opening, but nope, this is what we got. At least the rest of the show is good. Now, this style of intro is nothing new. Take He-Man, for example, another show with a pointless plot summary intro.
And the masters of the universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. Fabulous secret powers.
And I do mean fabulous.
Were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull."
I guess this one's somewhat excusable since the show didn't really have a linear story and it did have that awesome theme song going for it. Now, if you absolutely have to have a plot summary, there are ways to do it right, and Samurai Jack is a good example. The first half is exposition.
I, Aku, the shape-shifting master of darkness, unleashed an unspeakable evil. But a foolish samurai warrior wielding a magic sword stepped forth to oppose me.
And the second half is awesomeness. Minimal narration combined with good visuals and a catchy song. Now that's how it's done. Sometimes an intro can reflect how a show goes through changes. One fine example of this is Justice League. It's simple and some of the CGI looks cheap, but it sets the tone for the show well. It's condensed and strong, just like the original Justice League team. But when the show became Justice League Unlimited and they brought in damn near every hero from the DC universe, they had to kick things up a notch. It maintains the style of the original with a theme that's bigger, stronger, and more justice-y. Another good example is Ben 10. The show is flawed, I know, but it's a lot of fun to watch. Kind of a guilty pleasure, I guess. The original series was obviously intended for children, and the intro shows it. It's flashy and has a catchy theme, but it's also pretty creative. Now, I think the creators realized this show actually had a lot of older fans, so when the next series, Ben 10 Alien Force, premiered, they gave it a more serious tone. two intros are a good contrast to each other. One is trendy and doesn't take itself too seriously, and the other is broader and more mature, just like the shows. Then there's Ben 10 Ultimate Alien with an intro that was abrupt and kind of disappointing, just like the show. While it is pretty cool seeing a lineup of all the aliens, it kind of comes off as an over-glorified toy commercial. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the intention. Total Drama Island. I love this show. Good slapstick, likable characters, it did almost everything right, and it had a great intro. It's fast-paced, has a great theme song, and it introduces the cast in creative ways. As good as this is, Total Drama is an example of how a show can recycle ideas, because all 3 seasons are pretty much the same. All they really did was change things around a bit, so I guess these intros are the opposite of the previous examples. Nothing wrong with sticking with what works, but a little variety couldn't hurt. Hopefully they'll change things up a bit in Season 4. Sometimes all you really need is a good catchy tune, and one fine example of this is DuckTales. But you don't need me to tell you that, right, Nostalgia Critic?
It will never leave, it will never leave.
Yeah, its catchiness is legendary, that's for sure, but I think the same could be said about any of the shows from the good old Disney afternoon lineup. All of their intros were great, but it's the songs that really stuck with us, whether we like it or not. Now let's take a look at a couple of other intro themes that I personally find catchy. That's right, Fantastic Four. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Well, neither did I, but this theme song is... well, just listen to it. Wow, never in my life did I ever think I'd have a Fantastic Four theme song stuck in my head. And now you do too. Skipping ahead 2 digits, here's Bionic 6, another catchy intro filled with 80s goodness.
Bionic 6, we're all together, we fight for right. Bionic 6, we are so proud to be a super future family.
This show seems to have a lot of similarities to Fantastic Four. Maybe I'll revisit it in a future review. Yes, any child of the 80s should know this theme. Denver the Last Dinosaur. Not only does it have a catchy theme, but it's a lively and colorful intro as well. Also, it's got a dinosaur wearing sunglasses and playing a guitar. That pretty much guarantees your show's popularity, because what kid wouldn't want to be friends with Denver after seeing that? Now, I don't mean to ruin anything here, but there is one part of this song that kinda bothers me. More than friends, you say? Shows you a world you've never seen before, huh? I don't know who's singing this song right now, but whoever you are, you sicken me. Well, any potential dinophilia aside, it was still a great show with a great opening. Now, when it comes to catchy theme songs, for me personally, there is only one.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
The Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I don't think there was ever a theme song that used to run through my head more than this one. That includes DuckTales, by the way. It might be because the Mario theme was already pretty catchy, but then these bastards had to go and remix it and make it more fun.
You're in for a treat, so hang on to your seat. Get ready for adventure and remarkable feats. You'll meet Koopas and Troopers, the princess and the others. Hanging with the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers to the bridge.
But I think for this show, most people remember the end credits more.
Do the Marios!
Yeah, do the Mario, the laziest and most uninspired dance move ever. But admit it, at the end of every episode, you were dancing along.
Go all together now! You got it! It's
I
the
hate
Mario!
myself.
Do the Marios!
Do the Mario. Don't tell me you didn't, because I know you did, you liar.
Do the Mario! Take one step.
Now let's talk Transformers, because you can't do a video like this without talking about one of the biggest toy and cartoon franchises ever. They had a ton of animated series, but G1 is the most iconic, as is the opening. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a good opening, but the theme sounds kind of off. Is it me, or does it sound like the singers don't really care?
The Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Yeah, but it's still a nostalgic favorite, and it paved the way for other versions. Of all the Transformers cartoons, the intros range from pretty good to kinda disappointing. I was surprised to see that even the movie didn't have much of an intro, especially considering what a kick-ass soundtrack it had. But if I had to pick one as my overall favorite, it'd have to be this one. That's right, Transformers Animated, probably the most underrated of the series. It's essentially a reboot of G1, and a lot of the imagery from the original opening is recreated, as well as having the Transformers strike battle poses to a great remake of the original theme. Transformers Animated, pure awesomeness. Alright, now let's talk about some of my personal favorite intros. And let's start with something recent. Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I was hoping Marvel would come up with something equivalent to the Justice League. Well, they still haven't, but this comes pretty close. The intro is very powerful. One by one, we see the members of the Avengers, and after hearing that famous quote, then they band together to kick some ass. This intro is just like the Avengers. It represents teamwork and strength in numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the manliest intro ever. This is from Iron Man the Animated Series, and it is hardcore. There's really only one thing I can possibly add to this. Tony Stark built this in a cave from a box of scrap! Might as well keep the superhero theme going. There's no way I'd neglect this one. The intro to Batman the Animated Series, and it is every bit as epic as the show. It's dark and dramatic, and yet so simplistic, but very effective. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have this. Batman Beyond with its fast-paced cyberpunk intro. Its use of grungy images, mixed media animation, and typography perfectly sets up the show. It's the future, and Gotham City has fallen into chaos. Apathy, greed, and corruption have taken over, but there is one hope: Batman! Unlike the intros from before that narrate the plot, this is a great example of how you can tell a story without having to speak a single word. Batman Beyond. It's perfect. Here's another one I simply could not leave out: X-Men. Another kick-ass intro from a kick-ass show. It's flashy, it has an awesome theme, and I really like the way they introduce each of the characters. If Bionic 6 was full of 80s goodness, then X-Men is full of 90s goodness. By the way, did you know this show aired in Japan? And it even got its own original intro there.
X-Men とは悪の脅威から人類を守り、人類とミュータントの平和的共存を実現するために組織されたミュータントヒーローチームである。
You know, people like to say Japan is superior and they make everything better, but come on, this is the X-Men. How could you possibly improve on it? Jesus! Okay, hang on a second. As insanely awesome as this is, it goes a little too over the top. First of all, Magneto never controlled giant monsters, Cable was not in the series that much, nor was Omega Red, and he never fought Wolverine anime style. But it's still pretty sick. I really love the shot of Charles with Rogue and Storm. Chicks dig the floating chair. Oh yeah. The X-Men Japanese intro. When you make Jubilee look badass, you know you've done something right. Magus XLR is one of the greatest things ever conceived by humans. It was the perfect mix of campiness and destruction, and yet it somehow managed to remain a kid's show. The only real problem with it is that it's way too short, but it's still pretty sweet. Magus XLR.
Nice.
Let's revisit Oban Star Racers for a moment, because in my previous review of the show I neglected to talk about the intro. And just like the show itself, it's very fast-paced and intense. Depending on which country you saw the show in, you might have gotten a different opening, but I love this one. It symbolizes determination and never giving up. Everything Oban Star Racers is all about. Okay, who didn't see this one coming? Yes, Thundercats, one of the coolest and most exciting cartoons ever, with great heroes, great villains, and tons of action. I kinda liked it. And you know what? I think it's the intro that got me hooked. It gets you so pumped that you keep coming back for more, like some kind of weird drug. You know, you'd see the intro and then you'd watch the show. Then you buy all the toys and you buy some shirts and then you get the DVD box sets and you watch them over and over and over and over and over again, and then you memorize every single episode, and then the new show premieres and you watch that every Friday night because you have nothing else to do and nowhere to go, and then you buy the toys for the new show. It's a passion, not an obsession. Stop judging me! Well, it's still pretty kick-ass regardless of any long-term damage it caused. While I'm at it, I might as well give a mention to the Thundercats counterparts, the Silverhawks, with an intro that's every bit as awesome and exciting. In many ways, this is a better opening, mostly because of the better lyrics and the sweet guitar solo. But as far as I'm concerned, the Thundercats theme is #1, mostly because the lyrics were written by Inside the Actors studio host James Lipton. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Alright, in all seriousness, there are at least 2 intros that are way more awesome than Thundercats. Here's the first one. Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, one of the most underrated and underappreciated 80s cartoons ever. And the intro is just perfect. It starts out with some brief narration.
Thundering across the stars to save the universe from the monster minds. Jace searches for his father to unite the magic root and lead his Lightning League to victory over the changing form of Sawboss.
And after that, madness. Okay, let's see what this show's all about. You got lasers, saw blades, a grabby thing, a little girl driving a tank, guys that turn into trucks, a wizard, a magic ring. What the hell's going on in this show? God damn it, I gotta watch this now to figure all this out. And that is how you hook an audience. And on top of it all, it's got a rockin' 80s theme song. There's a power that comes from deep inside of you. Every day reaching toward the light. And you know there's a long way ahead of you. But when your wheels get you there, things will turn out right. Just keep on turning, don't stop rolling. The fire is on. We're warriors. Metal drums burning, our wheels moving. We're warriors. Come take a chance, keep on turning, don't stop rolling. The fire is on. We're warriors. Metal drums burning, our wheels moving. We're warriors. Damn, that's awesome! They do not make theme songs like that anymore. I guess I'll take a moment to acknowledge the creator of this theme song, Shuki Levy, a composer who worked on the themes for, well, name something, and he's probably had a hand in it. He's done a ton of work between 1970 and 2000, working on such classic themes as Inspector Gadget and Mysterious Cities of Gold. So if you were raised on cartoons, odds are this is the man that composed the soundtrack to your childhood. Alright, we're approaching the end here. Now, when I originally planned this video, it was going to be a traditional top 10 list, but there was so much for me to talk about that I just scraped the idea. But if I had to pick a #1, the choice is pretty clear. G.I. Joe the movie. Maybe I'm being controversial since this is the movie and not the TV show, but it's just so great. It starts out with a hostile invasion of Cobra on the Statue of Liberty for some reason. Okay, I know Cobra's done some dumb things before, but really? What, were they bored?
We shall take Lady Liberty, even though taking over a landmark is probably a gratuitous waste of time and resources, and won't really be an advantage to our cause, but it's still pretty cool. Cobra!
Well, as absurd as this is, it still creates a lot of tension and has some great build-up. Then the Joes show up and oh my god, there is so much happening, it's hard to keep up with it. Lasers flying everywhere, shit blowing up, the Joes kicking some ass, and they even have Duke punching Cobra Commander off the Statue of Liberty. It simply does not get more awesome than this. This intro is badass and exciting and is made of win and awesome and America. Yeah! If only the rest of the movie was this amazing. That's the next review, isn't it? Man.